Hello world, this is JWP, J-Ward Primo Beats, coming to you live from my bedroom. Check out my website, jwpsite.com, for my social links, latest news and updates, and public offerings. If you'd like to help support what I do, check out my Patreon, JWP Patreon. That's with 2 P's. There's exclusive content there for making your own audio plugins in SynthEdit, as well as presets for this documentation sections series. Or to help support what I do, you can check out my GoFundMe at JWP Fund. If you're watching this on YouTube, a like, comment, and/or subscribe are appreciated. I'll be looking at the visual programming book. Continuing along, it looks like we'll be looking at chorus. Cooking up a chorus effect. Chorus's structure is much the same as a flanger's, apart from a few differences. For one, the chorus's delay is longer, usually around 20 to 30 milliseconds. For another, chorus plugs usually do without feedback, though you are free to create experimental effects with longer delays and feedback. Finally, flangers often use 1 mono or 2 stereo delay lines. Choruses may use 4, 6, or even more delay lines, voices, to fatten up the sound. Our flanger prefab is a good place to start. First, we'll change delay module delay time to 0.06 or 60 milliseconds. Now adjust the min and depth knobs accordingly so they give us a right readout. Setting the multiply by value to 0.16 continued multiplies the 0 to 5 range by 6, yielding a readout of 0 to 30 milliseconds. We have a picture here, figure 2.61. It shows 2 voice chorus. It has 2 inputs, 2 outputs, and input rate, input min, input depth, input waveform, input phase. So it looks like it doesn't have any controls. As well, I won't be looking at the actual preset because it's not ready for 1.4, right? For the sake of convenience, we've dumped the delay lines with the oscillators in a container called 2-voice chorus. Copying this container adds 2 voices to the chorus. Figure 2.61 pictures the container. Figure 2.62 the structure. So we can see in figure 2.62 the 2 delay lines with LFOs inside a container. We have an in and out mod. In between them is 2 oscillators, 2 level adjusters, fixed values being plugged into the level adjusters, and then everything routing out to 2 delays. So perhaps I will be looking at the older prefabs just to sort of port them into SynthEdit 1.4. And here is SynthEdit 1.1. Looks like I was looking at Flanger. We're going to reopen that just so I'm sort of in that location. Hopefully it didn't put me there. Okay, so let's go save as, and then we'll grab the location here. Let's go cancel, and we'll go open. And now I can drop that location there, and we'll be right there. So we can grab the chorus, and this is the one that's pictured here in the book. Now I'm going to open a instance of 1.4 64-bit. Oops. This is 1.4. 1.5 is still in beta. I do not think I'll be moving into 1.5 for quite some time, if at all. It's just not really for me. I'd much rather build documentation on a solid foundation. As 1.4, I mean, as solid as it gets. Whereas 1.5 will be a little rickety for a little while. However, that said, we are looking at 1.4 here. I'll bring in a container, and I believe we'll call this chorus, I guess. Actually, the better idea, right, is to use the previous ones. All right, looking at the previous version here, it's flanger, but it says reverb. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's flanger. Be able to tell right away, and it look at it's flanger. Okay, so the container was just named reverb, likely because I didn't change it. So I'm going to go ahead and call this course. And then I'll save that right away. Call this course 1. And then I can jump in here and sort of gut it. The reason I am reusing the previous prefab is for this preset manager, right? We want to kind of keep that. And it looks like maybe I'll keep a couple knobs for now as we're trying to match what's in the book here and this other prefab here. We have, looks like 5 knobs, a bunch of layouts. So we'll just rip things out here like this. And actually, it's almost exactly the same thing as the flanger. So maybe we'll just keep things here. And it did say to adjust some things. Like we've got the chorus, right? It is the exact same thing. So it's the starting point of chorus. It's pretty much the exact same thing as flanger. I'm not sure exactly what it told me to do, right? I got to go back here. Longer. For our flanger preset is a good place to start. First, we'll change the delay module delay time to 0.06. Delay time 0.06. Okay, and then now adjust the min and depth knobs accordingly so they give the right readout. Setting the multiple by a value of 0.16, multiply 0.5 by 6. Okay, so where's my multiply? Is it the level ADG? I don't think so. I don't see a multiply anywhere. Let's look at this. Perhaps it's the knobs themselves, right? So we have rate, phase, depth, min, try what? Looks like the same thing there, just a little out of order. Rate here. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's telling me to change setting the multiply by value. Multiplies a 0 to 5 range. Now adjust the min and depth knobs. Okay, so here's min, which goes from 0 to 30, and mine does min 0 to 10. Okay, so that's what it's talking about here. So we'll push this up to 30. And then it said depth. Depth I have 0 to 30 as well. And originally, again, up to 10. So depth 30. Okay. Looks like that's it for now. Our flanger, first we'll change the delay module's delay time. I did that. Move to 6, down to min and depth. Setting the multiply by value to 1.6. It's just different, right? Because they're using a multiply in here, float scaler, I believe, just to change the readout, and then they're still going with seconds, whereas I am not doing that, and I am using, oh, yeah, I'm using my multiply. Okay. Setting the multiply value to 0.16. 0 to 5. So if we look at this one, its patch memory float is likely 0 to 5, yeah. So that's generally the difference here, is that my patch memory float is 0 to 30. Okay. Just to clarify that. It's just because we want our readout, our parameter readout, to read 0 to 30. They're just taking a different method, and their parameter readout will actually only read the 0 to 5. However, when it makes it to its destination here, it changes to the 30, whereas we're not doing that. We're directly changing it. However, I do feel like I'm supposed to be looking at this multiply. Because this is on the GUI side. Doesn't actually look like anything's changing. .166. Okay, so I'm going to open another. Wow. SynthEdit. An older version, and just going to turn that right off and see what exactly has changed internally. And it doesn't want to give me another window. Sometimes Windows is weird like that. It won't let me open a secondary window with the right click from that menu. So let's go flanger 4 here. And we'll pop in here and we'll see what is happening. Because it said this changed. So we're from 5 to 1.6, right? And then that makes 30. So I don't even think I really needed. Why am I multiplying it? Because I'm changing the 10 to the 30. I'm changing 30. And where is it going? It's going there. This as well is going here. Okay. So it's just changing the readout. What I want to do is to change it back to 5. Because it's not actually changing anything downstream. Since this is a GUI element, it's only changing the readout. So if I'm going to go 30, then I want to change this. So we go 30 times 0.1 and a bunch of 6s. Or is it 5s? 6s. Okay. So I do in fact want to keep consistency here. Okay, so I'm lost. There we are. Okay. So this is actually 0.1. How many 6s? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 7. 4 6s. Okay. And then that keeps the 0 to 30 within the 0 to 5. See, I don't know why I'm doing that though, but I'm sure it'll make sense later. Because in this prefab, it's not changing the actual output. It's just changing the readout. As I said, I don't know why. Oh, because we changed the delay, right? We changed this number to a different number. So it's reflecting back and forth here. Delay time to 0.6K. I thought I changed it, but I guess not. So let's go ahead and change that. Of course, you always have to push enter in SynthEdit to make sure that your changes go through, right? Oh, totally lost it. There. Okay. So that's demystified. We kind of just adjust things on one side and the other. For the sake of convenience, we've dumped the delay lines with the oscillators in a container called 2-voice chorus. Okay, so that's this container. Copying this container adds 2 voices to the chorus. Figure 2.61 pictures the container. Figure 6.2 the structure. Okay. So this is actually just some sort of component that we'll be using for 2 voices to the chorus. So continuing along. The control connect to container plugs rather than modules. Check out chorus 2 for the full structure. Go to Files, Course 1, Course 2. Adding 2 more voices. More voices adds girth to the sound. To add 2, copy the 2 voice chorus container and connect the controls to the appropriate plug. You'll find the structure in Figure 6 or 2.63. Input connect to both 2 voice chorus containers inputs, and with their outputs being mixed in the crossfaders input A plugs. It says Figure 2.63, a chubby 4 voice chorus. And we see a picture of the 2 containers, the 2 voice choruses, and they're plugged into all the other knobs and stuff. Input, output, and X-Mix on the end. I don't believe we had an X-Mix. Yeah, it looks like it's the... There's an X-Mix there, though. So it's pretty much everything without the X-Mix. This stuff here is sort of the module / prefab. Different phase, beef up the sound, add a constant voltage to the oscillator's phase mod plug in the second dual voice chorus. We added 10 volts in this prefab as highlighted in Figure 2.64. This shift the phase 180 degrees, putting the 2 voice pairs in opposite phase. Feel free to adjust the value or add a manual control. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and containerize this stuff. And hopefully we can get the pins right. I'm going to have to likely rearrange things. Yeah, look at that mess. Okay, so... the fastest way to do this. Uncontainerize it real quick. Oh, now it's crooked. A little bit of strategic thinking right now. How can I get the pins lined up? I'm just actually probably going to have to do this off stream real quick. Okay. So things are more in line now to match the image here as far as pins go. However, there is the feedback knob, which is no longer used. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Make sure that it's not plugged in, which it isn't. And now I do believe I have to make a second one, right? So having 2 more voices. We added 10 volts in this prefab. Prefab is highlighted in 2.64. Okay, so that's the next image of setting up the secondary. So I'm just going to bring in the secondary and we'll get it wired in first. It looks like everything is pretty much the same. So we'll go start with depth, min, phase. This can use a cap. No, it doesn't. It just doesn't look capitalized. And then signal out into the input A, and left and right in. Oops. Of course, rate. Okay, waveform. Okay. So everything looks like it's wired in now. Moving on to the next page here. So here's Figure 2.64, shifting the LFO's phase. So we actually have a fixed volts 10 here, and that's for the second one, I do believe. So I'll go here, and it goes to phase depth. So I could probably just reuse this, however, to keep it neater. Just bring in another one. And it won't make a difference because the fixed values are taking up memory anyway, so it's not really about how many modules there are. Actually, maybe it would be. So we'll just reuse this. I'm trying to reduce the amount of modules we're using. I do believe that's important in SynthEdit. I recently discovered is to specifically minimize value 5 volt. Why did it have... a thing in there that totally breaks it. That's not good. So that's also consistent with the phaser. I'm just gonna deal with that as well. All right, so it's strange that when I was testing the flanger, it didn't demonstrate any funny behavior. Perhaps I just ignored the string at the end. Just double checking that that's now corrected. This one is now out of phase 100% apparently, right? Okay, and that's where that's supposed to be plugged in. Yes. See, they're making two modules here, whereas I'm just using the one. As I've learned, the more modules you use in SynthEdit, the longer load times happen, because each module is categorized as its own plugin. So that's done. It's now out of phase. And was a 4-voice chorus now. Everything's plugged in. It's actually still going to look the same on the top level, except that one knob is gone. Okay, so getting back here, switching voices off. Sometimes 4 voices is overkill, so a switch between 2 and 4 voices comes in handy. Though you have several options, the best way to conserve CPU resources is to switch voices off before they enter the container. We will use switch many to 1 modules for the second pair of voices. When 2 is selected from the list, a fixed value module feeds a constant 0 volts to the container's input, putting the container to sleep. When 4 is selected, the main input provides the signal, adding the 2 voices to the wet sound, and that's all it takes to conveniently switch between 2 and 4 voices. So looking at the diagram here, 2.65, we see our switches being implemented here. They are pointing towards the 2-voice, the secondary 2-voice piece. In fact, I didn't even name those. I'm just looking at the one here. So it looks like the first one is just totally overriding the switch, which was expected. And we also have a sort of waveform selector for the voices. So let's go ahead and integrate that. We'll switches, and this is one-to-many. No, not that switch. We want the other kind of switch. Flow control. One-to-many, many-to-one. One-to-many, many-to-one. Many-to-one. Okay. And then, of course, we have a 0 there. Copy that. Bring in another fixed value just to get that 0 somewhere. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Wrong controls. Fixed values. And goes 0 and 0. Let's name this 0. Input 0. Or name 0, output 0. And again, input 0. Then for the second selection, we have the inputs here, and we remove these inputs from the second 2-voice chorus, and we'll plug those in there. And as I said, I'm going to name these what it expects to be named, 2-voice chorus. 2-voice chorus. Just to keep things consistent. Okay. Now I want to name this. Actually, this has to be named 2 and this 4, right? 2 and 4. Okay. We want to switch. Just move this here and copy that switch, paste. And this is called voices. Yes, voices. So we're going to rename that voices. And plug it in here. Let me now switch between, of course, it changed its name. So change the name again. Voices. And then we now have a sort of a roundabout switch I might have opted for a different kind of switch, man. And it's not even, it's a text entry even. Is it supposed to be a text entry? No, it's supposed to be a list entry. Why I have it as a text entry, I do not know. Oops. Let's actually go ahead and open 2, I think. No, we'll wait for it to tell us to. Okay. So I'm going to switch this out for a list entry. Small oversight. Well, it's not editable, and this one, in fact, does. Is it the same? Consistent here? 4, no. It is consistent. Okay. Yeah, we'll switch it out real quick here. List entry. It looks like I did it on purpose, like I wouldn't have this as a selection. Well, it's not really too late, however, it's just, let's get it done. We're sort of into the escalation of commitment here. Okay, that looks about right. Highlight everything. That actually looks a little taller. GUI considerations, right? I think it's just because it's the list box. I'll just adjust things a little bit here to get it to snap, and then this style is heading 3. So let's go heading 3. Then we'll plug it in. Of course, I'm in the old view here, so I gotta navigate with the scroll bars. Okay, so it's exactly on top of the other one. I think it's just the current skin for that little section there that's making it clip like that. I believe once we get to this skin, no, it's still clipping. Oh, but it's limited to those choices. That's right, too. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this and remove this one. Paste that down. Now we have a list entry. Even though it's 2 selections, let's bring things up to par here. Again, this is called voices. And yeah, no, this has, oh, it has, that's why it's not supposed to be a list. Because it has selections that can't be limited. I mean, I can limit them. Doing something like this, I do believe. Item list, can I edit that now? How did they do it? They used listables. So let's see if we can pull that off. Maybe that's why I didn't bother with it. Okay, so I'm not sure really what I want to do. Go back to the other way. And this is list to text. Smart version. And text entry. And yeah, we'll just put it back. It's heading 3. And we'll squeeze it back in here. Done. Look, we got a pin there. It's not working anymore. Why is there a pin there? I don't know, it's just done. Funny screen glitch, I guess, and it's already connected. Okay, so then we'll copy this, and I guess it doesn't really need that readout. I apologize for the oversight. Me just fiddling. Okay, there's the voices. If ever I can get it to, yeah. Okay. So now we don't have, we have like the numbering thing, but that's not supposed to be like that either. So let's go readable off. And again, here, readable off. Okay, I'm not sure where it went now. Item choice, item list, bools. Okay, that's where it's at here. Let's just go ahead and pull this out. And then we can just use this directly now that we have specific two values there. I always got to test things, right? And then this one kind of just goes around those three. Okay. Switching voices off. We've already went through that. I'm just going to double check everything. It looks the same-ish. It's actually not on the board, right? So let's get it on the board. Where would it be? This degree symbol's way off. Let's just squeeze it in. Maybe they can stack. Will they stack? Okay, they'll stack. Yeah. And we'll resize things later. I imagine I'm probably expecting more controls later on in the book. That doesn't look right, though. I don't like the way that looks. It looks too confusing. However, as I said, we'll probably be getting more controls, so let's continue. Oh, that's it. Next up is phaser. Go to Files, Phaser 4. Or Chorus 4, rather. Okay, so this is the old one. Save as, then we'll grab that location. Open. And Chorus 4, we'll see how it looks here. Oh. All right, so they did stack it as well. However, as I said, it doesn't really look that great. So they kind of made the exact same decision I did. And everything looks up to sketch, okay, up to specs, up to the schematic. So I guess I could take it for sort of a test drive, right? What's the preset here? No presets, right? So 20 hertz, 30 milliseconds, 41%. So what does that say? 20 hertz, 0.2 hertz. What? Look at all this stuff is all over the place, eh? Minimum of 0. Depth of 30, phase of 72.8. 72.8. And dry width 41%. Okay. So, well, we have triangle. And yeah, it's ready to be exported. It's a course, so go ahead and save that. We'll export, and this is SCCH. And this is product course. And course. Save file. No, because this is course 4, right? I totally skipped all the middle parts. Okay. Exported done. And I'll get FL Studio open and loaded. All right, now we're over in FL Studio here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a quick electric. I prefer, as in the past, Where I can find it. Dependence. Of course, I have Independence Pro. Never had much of a chance to utilize it for actually making a lot of tracks, but there's a lot of nice drums and guitars and what have you. So let's go alternative, and we want like the 70s guitar, I think it's called, 60s, 70s guitar here. And we'll turn off. It doesn't look like there's anything. No. What's going on with my keys? Let's set my keys here. We'll go E minor. Okay. And now we have this chorus plugin here. And let's make sure we're running through channel 1. We are. Here's the chorus plugin here. Hopefully it loads. Can I? Thank you. Okay, so we passed the first step. I forgot to size things up a bit better. This is the standard presets. Give it a listen. Very tremolo. Let's try 2 voice. Is there even a difference? Yeah, it's much thicker. Let me record something right quick here. With that, go. Okay, it'll accept, right? Okay. And it automatically did some quantization here. We'll fix it up a little more. And default. Just really quickly. In fact, I don't even have to touch that side, right? So just delete that. We'll grab this side. Looks like I lost a note, maybe. Yeah, I did. Okay, so let's pull this forward. Drop a note here. Just put it back. And then I'll grab this stuff and copy it. No, I need to get that last piece, copy and flip. Okay. Move it over. And then kill some stuff here. Quantize this stuff, and we'll go. We'll just leave it like that, and we'll just stretch it out manually. Over. It doesn't look like it's going to fit very well. Just fine. We'll have a couple seconds of silence. And look at this chorus here. Definitely more sun, wavy. The depth back a bit here. That's more realistic. That's more something I feel like I'd use. Okay, the alpha was kind of doing so well. More phase. A little faster rate. Hear the saw clicking. Turn it up a bit. It's like switching on and off. Ramp is obviously the opposite of the saw. Come back to triangle. Really fast. Ramp and saw just kind of don't do it much justice. Okay, that's about enough of that. Call it there. Check out my website, jwpsite.com, for my social links, latest news and updates, and public offerings. If you'd like to help support what I do, check out my Patreon, JWP Patreon. That's with 2 P's. There's exclusive content there for making your own audio plugins in SynthEdit, as well as the presets for this specific documentation series. Also, to help support what I do, you can check out my GoFundMe, JWP Fund. If you're watching this on YouTube, a like, comment, and/or subscribe are appreciated. Thanks for watching. Until next time.